Hello and welcome to the Crazy Sexy Food Podcast. I'm Hannah Harley-Young, a photographer by trade and a foodie at heart. Each week, I sit down and chat all things food with well-known foodies, industry insiders, chefs, critics, and people who just love their food. Today I'm joined by Millie Mackintosh, one of the nation's most well-known and loved personalities. She first came onto our screens as part of the original lineup of Made in Chelsea in 2011, and after 5 seasons decided to embark on a career spanning from beauty to fashion to lifestyle and fitness. Not just beautiful on the outside, she exudes an all-round positive nature from the inside and shows her millions of followers on a daily basis that workouts and maintaining a healthy lifestyle can also be balanced out with eating delicious food and living a fun, carefree life. I have come to visit her at her new home, which may I say is serious interior goals, as she is very pregnant. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
How are you feeling
Thank you for having me. And that was such a lovely introduction.
Well, all of my guests have sort of said from now on, they kind of want me to be around on a daily basis, just like giving them all of their sort of like life affirmations and telling them how wonderful they are.
Just introduce me
Exactly.
all day, like every phone call, you just like, come on first.
I'm going to call you every morning, Millie, and just tell you how wonderful you are. So I always ask my guests, and I always kick off my interviews with asking what you had for breakfast today.
Well, I will tell you, and I'm very passionate about breakfast. This morning I had porridge made with half quinoa flakes and half gluten-free oats mixed together with almond milk and poached pears with almond butter and honey.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so did you poach the pears and everything yourself?
I cheated and I actually just sometimes buy them tinned.
Oh, nice.
Like, because then it's just like quicker, just like drain the syrup. But making them obviously yourself is nicer.
That sounds really
but they still taste
delicious. Good. And I need to get involved in that.
And it's just an easy thing you can do with stuff from the cupboard.
Yeah. And then the quinoa flake, because I've never tried quinoa flake. Is it like quinoa?
It's okay. Well, it's flakes, so it's kind of, it goes into like a porridgey consistency. It doesn't taste that. You know how quinoa can have that quite strong taste. Yeah. Mixed with the oats, it really doesn't have that like strong quinoa-y flavour. Maybe it feels slightly lighter than when you do it only with oats.
Yeah, because sometimes oats can be a bit heavy.
But it's still very filling. And just since being pregnant, I find porridge is a really good breakfast because it does keep you going for a long time.
Absolutely.
But depending on what I'm doing, some mornings I'll have like 2 breakfasts. Because I wake up really early, so often I'll have a breakfast. I'll have something to eat, between 7 and 8, and then if I do a workout or something, I'll then have something maybe between like 10 and 11.
And what would you have then?
It depends. I wouldn't have like the same thing twice, but I might then have like some eggs on toast or some fruit and yogurt, or just something like a bit smaller.
Yeah. But kind of just give you the energy for the rest of the day until
maybe,
your next meal.
Maybe a pastry, maybe a croissant.
Well, you have just served me the most delicious lemon cake, so I'm kind of there at like your mid-morning snack
that has
level.
actually been my mid-morning snack today has been a slice of lemon cake. So it's all about balance.
So as I said, we are recording from your new home and you're sort of preparing for your new arrival, which is imminent. And obviously, congratulations. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling excited. Sometimes I get moments where I feel a little bit overwhelmed, but I'm quite an organized person. I love lists. I like planning, and this is stuff something you can make sure you've got all the things you need, like organizing the house, everything from just like ticking off a list, making sure I've got my hospital bag kind of done, making sure I've got all the things I need for her. Everything has to be washed with like non-biosensitive like detergent. So there's kind of like little chores that I can do to just slowly tick things off, like doing something every day to make sure I'm more prepared. Amazing.
I want to just start with your childhood. So you were born in Wiltshire.
Yes, grew up in the country.
The countryside.
Country.
What was life like growing up for you? So, were you sort of out and about the whole time, running around, and was it
very
outdoorsy?
Quite
a free life?
Very outdoorsy. We lived in a village, and had a lovely garden. And I had a really idyllic childhood. I have lots of memories of birthday parties in the garden, lots of playing outside, kind of dogs, and I didn't have my own horse, but like about horses, like kind of I was very into riding. We'd kind of go on like family bike rides every weekend, and my mum would.
Sounds ideal.
My mum, like, is a great cook, and would be at home cooking quite a lot.
So I was going to ask. So, growing up, who was the primary cook in the family?
My mum, definitely my mum. Yeah.
And what were you eating growing up?
I think a lot of
was
kind
it
of like,
food of a huge importance? I assume then.
I mean, yeah, like always having like meals together, like family meals together, has been really important, and it's something we've always done, and something that I really want to do as a family as well. And but yeah, my mum would just cook. I mean, a lot of like delicious, like kind of like British, like home cooked food, just like really good quality. I'm trying to think like favourites, just like, you know, apple crumble, things like when you go and pick the berries yourself.
I was going to say, did you grow your own fruit and veg?
We did, yeah. I remember like we kind of grew these potatoes, and they'd be all kind of knobbly and weird looking, but they tasted amazing.
How potatoes should look, and taste.
Exactly. Yeah, we used to grow our own kind of like root veggies, and my mum would grow things like peas and things like, yeah. So there was definitely some green vegetables as well. I guess it kind of think she tried various things out. Sometimes some things would go better than others, but it was not. I definitely had that amazing experience of learning where my food was coming from.
So you had that sort of like inherent knowledge, and obviously coming from a foodie background. So your parents owned a deli, is that right?
Yes. So they owned a deli in Marlborough. It was called Mackintosh of Marlborough,
amazing.
And it just had all the best things. Like, you know, I would always have my hand in a jar of like candied almonds, or, you know, just the most delicious cheeses and salamis.
So were you spending quite a lot of time there? So
I would go in.
Spare time,
I'd go
like
there
after school,
like,
or
I was at boarding
weekends?
school, but I would go in before I was at boarding school. Like then I might go in, on a Saturday or something. If my mum had a kitchen underneath the shop, and she ran a catering business, so she'd prepare some food for the shop. Like she'd make delicious like pâtés and terrines and sandwiches every day that people would come in and get. But then she also catered for loads of people in the area, and would do. She would stock people's freezers, so more like kind of elderly people who couldn't cook for themselves anymore, but still wanted like a really lovely, well cooked like kind of dinner that wasn't like a nasty ready meal.
God, so she was kind of ahead of herself in a way, because
Exactly.
nowadays we've got all these you know really good delivery services, but
there wasn't really anyone offering that. So that was part of the business, and then she'd prepare food for people that kind of wanted to pretend they'd done it themselves, I think, if they were entertaining. Because she would always drop it off in like a really gorgeous dish.
I know people that still do that.
And then there's nothing wrong with it.
No, not at all. Not at all. I've done it myself.
But she would, deliver the meal, whatever it was, cooked in a dish, and they could just like heat it up at the last minute. Great and then idea. Like bring it out, like, look what I made.
Brilliant. And were you getting quite involved at that point? Like, were you spending time in the kitchens?
I used to love going in and helping, doing whatever I could. She used to make these amazing Parmesan biscuits that they had in the shop, and I was allowed to like cut them out and do stuff like butter the bread for the sandwiches. And
amazing.
So I'd find it really fun getting to go in and be part of like a working kitchen environment. But then she would also do the catering. She'd also cook from home, so she could be at home with us as well.
And at that time, so what sort of age would you have been around this time?
I mean, they opened the shop literally a year after I was born, so it was all through.
So throughout your entire childhood.
Until I was 16.
And this was obviously like in a pre-social media life, you know, how amazing that you were instilled this very healthy relationship with food, and you were learning about proper food and where it came from and all that sort of
Definitely.
stuff. Were you quite a confident child? I mean, did you care about the way you looked? Were you conscious about certain foods?
Not as a child. I mean, I think I wasn't really fussy with food. I would kind of eat pretty much everything at boarding school. I don't know. I think I've spoken to lots of people who now have aversions to certain foods because at some point in their childhood, often in a school environment, they're kind of almost like forced to eat something they really didn't like. So it wasn't cooked
my
nicely,
dad always says
and I
that
still have weird things.
My dad always talks about how he cannot stand two things, which is hot milk, that apparently back in the day they were served, and rice puddings were also a big one. So
I'm like that with I remember being forced to eat like beetroot. I can't eat. I can have it in a juice, but I can't eat like raw beetroot. I couldn't eat leeks for ages. Now I've like learned how to cook them and like them. I was weird with quite a lot of things.
What were they doing with beetroots that you wouldn't
I
have
think
liked?
it was just raw, and I
Yeah.
really didn't like the texture of it.
Yeah.
I don't like cucumber,
Really?
but my dad also doesn't like it. So I don't know, like, if he's like passed it on to me at some point that he
That's
didn't.
so
It's
interesting.
weird. It's like a texture thing. I don't
Yeah.
mind the taste of it. Like,
Is
if
it the
it's
sliminess?
yeah, it's like I don't like bean sprouts either. I think it's like anything that's like too watery.
Yeah.
Like raw tomatoes also.
Really?
If they're like really amazing, like you're abroad.
Amazing
and,
Italian tomatoes.
yeah, then I could eat. But like in the UK, I'm like, no, I can't do it.
See, I can't eat mushrooms.
See, mushrooms, I get like Hugo's funny with mushrooms.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, mushrooms are
So
not
it's a
for me.
texture thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's also I'm sort of like a bit of a contradiction because I cannot stand mushrooms, but I love truffles.
Well,
Which
no,
technically
I get
are
that.
different, but anyway.
What about raw onion?
Yeah, I can eat raw onion.
I can't do it.
But I won't eat it because I've got tummy issues.
Yeah, it's not the best for the digestion.
No, I love onions. I love garlic.
I love garlic.
I mean, I could eat raw garlic.
Yeah. I love garlic. I love putting raw garlic in things.
I mean, not raw garlic, but garlic in general is the one thing I would never stop putting into my cooking, but I have stopped cooking with onions, which was quite difficult at first, especially when making sauces and
Yeah,
things
because it's
like
always
that.
like the first thing you put in.
Yeah.
Can you do celery?
Yeah, I can do celery. I kind of have this rule that whatever I buy into the house is healthy and corresponds to what is good for my stomach, and then when I leave, like, it's a free-for-all.
Well, that's a good way of having some balance.
Exactly. As you embarked into your adult life, what were your career aspirations as you were kind of starting to leave school and get out into the big wide world?
I used to make clothes when I was at school. So I used to make dresses like on my sewing machine, and I actually did a BTEC in art and design rather than doing A-levels. So you had lots of different like modules, and one of my modules was fashion. So I did an internship for a lingerie designer, and then from there was kind of making my own like bras and stuff, and then I would then develop that into these kind of little baby doll dresses, which were tiny, made out of offcuts of silk that I got given when I did my internship, and then I would also use stuff like silk scarves that my granny had given me and turn them into these little basically like a little negligee.
Love it.
And I'd make them for friends as like presents and stuff, and then people started to want to buy them. So it was just a very much like word of mouth thing.
And so would you be wearing these out, your little mini dresses? But that was very a sign of the times, wasn't it?
We
This
would
must
be
have been
wearing them
the
out
early
like
2000s or
no
something.
coat,
Yeah.
little strappy mini dress, very short, high heels, loads of tan, loads of hair and makeup, off with Tita.
I miss those days.
Off with Tita down the King's Road. I found some pictures and we would wear them out, and I was just like, I went out in that? Like, it was tiny.
Yeah, I found some photos of myself the other day, I think from 2008 and 2009, and honestly, I think that era is some of the worst fashion disasters have been committed. I mean, it's shocking.
What were yours?
Mine were like I'd wear these tops where I thought that it was really appropriate to have the whole top of the bra out as well. They were that low. Because my boobs are quite big, I'd still have to wear the bra. So you sort of, do you remember like
But the top
Abercrombie
really,
and
like,
Fitch would do
designed.
those tops that were sort of baby doll?
Yeah.
And so the whole lace bra was basically out, and then you'd have this top that was clearly didn't fit you, along with a pair of either the most horrendous mini skirts with waist belts, awful fitted jeans. Makeup was just horrific. I mean, overlined eyes.
It's like,
you had a line across your jawline,
the jawline
with
line,
bronzer,
blue eyeliner.
I mean, it was just shocking.
It was lots of eyeliner like under the
But
eye.
I'd lined my eyes so much with like a dark kohl that they were so small that they were literally like little like pimples.
Yeah, it's that thing when you haven't figured out like what suits you, and you're just like, I saw it in a magazine, or like, another girl wore it like this, I'm going to try it, and it just doesn't suit you at all.
But then there were like really key items as well. Do you remember the what were the circular belts, the leather belts that like Sienna Miller was always wearing? Like I wore those to death.
Oh, with the
really, fur gilet.
with the really low jeans, or the belt miniskirt. I mean, it was just so cool.
With a pair of maybe pirate boots.
Oh, Ugg boots.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, pirate boots, yeah. They were good. Or cowboy boots.
Yeah, did a cowboy boot as well with a denim skirt. And
Shorter denim skirt. maybe a boy's shirt.
Yeah, that's
Lots
exactly
of
what I
backcombing in
do.
the hair. Lots of dry shampoo.
Oh, don't. Oh, God. Anyway.
Trip down memory lane.
We've come out bigger and better, Millie. So you then went on to star in Made in Chelsea in 2011, which made you a household name. Did you know that I nearly went on it?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
no way.
So in 2008, I was approached by a production company. This was in its really formative years when the ideas were coming out, and it was called, I think, the Chelsea set at the time or something like that.
I remember it had loads of working
And someone
titles.
approached me through a friend, and they were like, we want to speak to you because at the time I was at art school, and I was sort of like from Ladbroke Grove, and they probably saw me as a bit like edgy or whatever. And I filmed a whole pilot, and they filmed, do you remember Blushes on King's Road?
Yes.
So we had to do a whole morning sitting outside Blushes, and basically they were telling me what to say and all this sort of stuff. It didn't end up happening, but it's just so funny. Yeah. So that was my little moment of
I mean, I did not know what I was getting myself into.
Really.
I mean, I didn't know it was going to be. We didn't know
as big as it was going to be.
It was going to be. We had no idea. Like I didn't know if anyone would see it.
And so when you were approached, did you know most of the people that like were in the first lineup?
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I did know that. I knew. I'd say about 80% of them.
Okay, so that must have been quite an exciting thing to embark on. You must have been
It was just very
doing it with my
unknown. It was a
friends.
completely new thing. We were kind of a bit like, none of us were really, had started on the path of our dream career at that point. We were all like 21 and just kind of figuring out what we were doing, and it seemed like a fun opportunity. So we just kind of went with it. And luckily,
look where it went.
Yeah.
And what sort of effect did that have on your life? Because obviously that's quite sudden fame overnight. How did you handle that?
I don't remember it feeling like it happened overnight. It was kind of, I guess maybe by the end of by the time the first series had finished airing, maybe more like the second series, that people were kind of really picking up on it. I mean, I guess it kind of turned it. I guess it was a bit of a roller coaster. Like you were kind of like, right, okay, I've signed up for this. I'm in this now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ride it out. Didn't really know where it was going to take you next, but you were just like, we just went with it. And there were ups and downs of doing it. There were kind of, good times, low times, but it was quite a whirlwind.
I guess when you're in it, you don't really. It's hindsight's such a beautiful thing because you can look back now and be like, oh my God, that was. What a mad experience.
It was mad. I don't, sometimes people are like, and, it must have been really hard to film that. And how did you cope? And are you angry? Do you feel exploited? And I just said, I feel like actually, no, like the producers knew, they were doing their job. They made great TV. And it was painful to go through some, personal dramas on screen. But then also people related to that because, it was following relationships.
It's real life.
And a lot of it was real for me, and I guess people relate to that, so it helped me connect with people as well, I think.
Absolutely. And what are your thoughts on reality TV nowadays? Like, are you concerned with the constant link with mental health and overexposure? I mean, in my opinion, I feel like it's changed a lot over the past 10 years.
I think with social media as well, because when I did Made in Chelsea, Instagram wasn't even a thing really. It was like Twitter, and then Instagram kind of started picking up around the time the show, like I was on the show, but maybe even towards the end of the time I was on it. So I feel like maybe 6-7 years ago. So I think the combination of reality TV with social media is it can be a really scary place, and people feeling like they can sit behind their computer and be trolling people. It's really nasty, and people are realizing now how dangerous it is.
Absolutely. So you've successfully paved a career for yourself after you sort of stepped away from Made in Chelsea, and I think what I've loved about your journey is that you haven't oversaturated yourself straight away. Like you've gone on this really amazing journey with it, and I think that really creates longevity. And I don't know, I really appreciate the road you've traveled with it.
Thank you.
Coming to current day, for some reason, when I was doing a little bit of research, completely forgot that you were a master chef in 2014.
Yes. Dipped back
what
into
was
reality
that
TV.
like? Because I want to go on MasterChef if anyone is listening.
That was a pretty crazy experience. Like the nerves and the anxiety. I mean, it's pretty high octane. It's like pressure.
So do you film it sort of like in a week? Is it the whole thing?
No, you film it. You have breaks in between. We film it over like 6 weeks. It depends how long you stay in.
Fine.
So you might have like, it's not back to back. It's not every day, which is a relief because you need to kind of, and you have some challenges you can prepare for in a way that I'll say your challenge is you've got 2 hours to cook 3-course meal for 4 people. You can bring in the recipe, and you tell them all the ingredients and all the equipment that you need.
Okay.
So that those ones, you'd be at home frantically like thinking, right, what am I going to do, and testing things out on friends. And
so what was one of the most challenging parts of it, would you say, for you? Was there a particular...
We did one challenge where it was like a Tudor challenge.
Oh my God.
And we had to literally like pretend like we'd gone back to like Tudor times and had like no equipment, and
what?
I had to skin something like 100 fish. I can't remember what fish it was, but it was really slippery and it was really hard to get the skin off. And I was using salt to like grip, and my knuckles were literally like bleeding. I with like salt in them.
Oh my God.
Like that was really hard.
So it wasn't just about the actual food that you were making, it was the process had to be from like the
the
1600s.
The process literally as if
Wow.
So that was really challenging. I think I found that probably like the hardest out of the challenges that we did. Or when you had the mystery box challenge, that was terrifying as well. So that's when you go in, you see the dreaded boxes out on little workstations, and you know that you're going to have to cook whatever's in that box, and you don't know what it is. That's really scary.
Oh my God, it reminds me a bit of like Ready Steady Cook.
Yeah,
which they've brought back.
Have they?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
I know. I'm really excited about
Ready Steady
it.
Cook.
My dad was once on Ready Steady Cook, and it was the most embarrassing experience ever.
Did he do well?
Well, he ended up winning it because they did like a sort of like, not celeb thing, but like well-known people. And I think his chef who he cooked with was Anthony Royal Thompson. Okay. My dad does not cook at all. I mean, he can't even make toast. And the one close-up they did of my dad was of him slicing an onion, and he was using the wrong side of the knife. And we were all like literally watching the TV, screaming at him, being like, "Dad, you had one job and you can't even do it." But he ended up winning it. I mean, this was like, God, I must have been 8 years old. I'm going to come to a bit more about your food stuff in a minute, but you have a huge love of fitness as well. What's your approach to fitness? How do you sort of incorporate it in your day-to-day life?
I just see it as part of my lifestyle now. When I was younger, and in my teens, I wasn't sporty. I wasn't into sports. I didn't understand like why people would go to the gym. I just was like so not into it. Oh God,
me too. Hated it.
I was just like,
and also team sports, absolutely not.
Team sports, absolutely not.
I used to forge notes from my mum to get me out of like hockey.
I hated it. I would like run away from the ball. I was like, no, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved. Don't pick me. Yes. Just try and get out of anything that I could. I think I was just lazy, and I just reacted negatively to it. I was like, I don't want to do it. You can't make me do it. So when I left school, I guess I still wasn't in the mindset of that I should kind of take care of myself and exercise. It wasn't until I was probably in my early 20s that I slowly started to kind of be like, okay, maybe this is something I can like adapt into my lifestyle. And then maybe by about 24, I was kind of properly training a couple of times a week, and had then kind of fallen in love with it. But that couldn't imagine at that point not doing it.
And what's your favourite form? Like, what do you tend to sort of, I mean, maybe pre-pregnancy, what was your sort of week looking like?
I mean, I've always liked to mix it up. I'd say that one thing that I've kind of done quite consistently through that time is Pilates.
Which is also probably helping you loads now.
Exactly, and I think it's just like the core of, Pilates movements are like the core of so many things, and if you know how to do them right, it's about like, strength and being
holding yourself. It's all like from the inner strength. I'm obsessed with Pilates. It's the one thing I'll consistently do too.
Yeah. So I've stopped doing reformer since being pregnant, just found it a bit intense, but like I'll definitely go back to that like when I can afterwards. But before I was pregnant, I do a mixture. So I do yoga, maybe one yoga a week, just like a kind of flow class, like a little. I was getting stronger at it. I could actually do a headstand.
Wow.
In the summer, which was
God,
like
amazing.
yes.
And then you bloody went and got
I
pregnant.
know. Then no inversions are recommended when you're pregnant. So that'll have to be something I like work back towards again. So like yoga or Pilates, and then I do some weight training, and maybe like a kind of spin class or something to do a bit of cardio.
Do you run? Did you run? You're not a runner.
No, I'm not a runner, but I enjoyed spin for like that kind of endorphin rush. And I really like TRX as well, kind of doing like resistance training. I find that quite fun, like to do a class. And then so since being pregnant, when I got pregnant, I was like, right, exercise is going to be really crucial to, you know, support my body through the pregnancy and then also to like recover. So I really went into it with that mindset. But you just have to go with how you feel, and you don't know how tired you're going to be. And I've definitely been really tired. At the beginning, I felt really sick. So I did kind of step back from exercising a bit at the beginning because of feeling so nauseous, especially in the mornings, which is when I would normally exercise.
Does that give you anxiety? Because when, like, even if I get ill and I can't exercise, I'm like, oh, my life's over.
It is a bit like that. Or like even for me, just the feeling of like, am I going to puke in public? Makes you feel like a bit on edge. You know, you don't want to puke. You don't want to puke in a class in front of other people, or you know, in a meeting or in a restaurant or anywhere in public. If you're going to puke, you want to be at home. So it's like it's a really. I mean,
I've had some moments in my life, but
it's an uneasy feeling for sure when you're nauseous and you don't know if you're actually going to puke or if you just feel sick and you just don't know. It's a bit like Russian roulette.
So better to just stay at home.
Just have like a plastic bag in my handbag in case I needed to in case I was actually going to hurl, and a constant supply of like ginger biscuits. Which would, you know, eating would help with the nausea.
Onto your culinary skills. So, as I said in the intro, you are very sort of open with your cooking and your love of food. Talk to me about the cooking series you've been doing with Nina Parker, which I've seen on your Instagram of recent. We've got this more coming soon. Fabulous.
And Nina and me, we've got friends in common. We first met a couple of years ago. She actually helped out. I was having a dinner party and wanted someone to basically to prepare the food, like, you know, bring something that I could just bring out the oven. And she knew other friends of mine, and I knew I think I saw she'd done a dinner. A friend said that she did a dinner party for me. It was amazing. And when she came over in the afternoon to kind of help prepare everything and show me like what to do, we just got on super well and chatted loads about food, and we just kind of stayed in touch. I think I then put her in touch with other friends that wanted help with dinner parties as well. And then I think we just kind of became friends. And then one day I was like, hey, do you want to just cook together and let's film it and make some fun recipes, because I love what she does.
And what's her approach?
So her approach is she was more like flexitarian. Now she's in the last like year, I'd say she's become like more like completely plant-based.
Okay.
And I don't eat like completely vegan or plant-based. I like to mix it up. But I was becoming more and more conscious of just the impact on the planet of eating like animals, eating fish, and dairy and everything else, and thinking like, how can we all like make, you know, small changes in our lives that are gonna be good for the environment. So one of the things I thought I could do was to try and cut back on how much animal products I was eating, by eating, you know, more kind of plant-based meals in the week, and just like limiting my meat intake a bit.
And so for anyone that hasn't seen some of the episodes already, so it's you guys sort of cooking together recipes.
Just us cooking together stuff that's like really easy to make at home. We chat a little bit about why, you know, what the inspiration behind it, why we're making that, whatever we're cooking that week, where the inspiration came from, and everything's really adaptable. So if you really like what we cooked, but you want to do it with meat, great. Like
it's adaptable in that way,
cool.
so anyone can tackle them.
Completely.
And what are some of your specialities, whether it be with Nina or just on a day-to-day basis? Like, what do you love cooking?
I love baking. Anything from kind of a banana bread. Not like, I mean, I don't do like really, confectionery, like amazing fussy things. It's more just kind of, like a banana cake or like a lemon drizzle cake. But there's something very satisfying about making something and like watching it like rise in the oven.
I completely agree. I find it also weirdly because it's quite a scientific thing, baking, that you sort of have to follow these recipes to like the nearest gram, and then you'll suddenly create this beautiful result. Whereas like when I'm just cooking sort of day to day, that's more, I quite like to not cook from a recipe. Like I'll have something as inspiration, but I want to put my own touch to it. I'm the same, like day to day, I cook quite a lot of things on repeat. Same. So like Monday nights, we always have a salmon stir fry with like, assortment of veg, like broccoli, pak choy, asparagus, salmon like with some spices rubbed on it, like chili, garlic and ginger, and then like rice noodles. And it's just like, it's a kind of healthy-ish, like quite light dinner, but it's really yummy. And I quite like that we know that Monday night, that's what we're having. Absolutely. I like having like a bit of routine. And how has your appetite changed since you've been pregnant? It's definitely increased, not surprisingly, as there's two of us feeding. But at the beginning, I definitely craved all the beige foods. Right. Just everything beige. Really? If it's beige, it's allowed. If it's not so much. Were you sending Hugo out on like nightly runs to go and get you? Like... I haven't actually. He went out last night and got me a Calippo. So I was really. I saw that. Craving an ice lolly, which is my like newest thing, and when I want one, I like really really want it. Right. Okay. But apart, I mean, I definitely carbs all the way through, and I've just really listened to my body and gone, right, okay, I'm just gonna go with it. I mean, I've tried not to go crazy. I haven't eaten like kind of junk food, but I definitely have allowed myself to relax, and probably for the first time in years, like not really be that conscious of how much I'm eating, and I've just been very relaxed about it. And I think that's how you should be, quite honestly. A new journey. Yeah. And I think, I've just kind of gone with it. I haven't deprived myself of things. I've definitely enjoyed indulging my sweet tooth, because why not? Like, you're pregnant. Why not? I'm actually, as you just said that, I was looking over at the rest of the lemon cake. I know, it's kind of, it's just like saying, eat me, eat me. I think I will after this. Talk to me about some of your favourite restaurants in London. Okay, favourite restaurants. So I love Italian, and I love Japanese food. So God, this must be why we like each other, because they're my two favourite cuisines. So although I do cook quite a lot of like Italian like pastas and stuff at home, it's nice to go out to an Italian restaurant, and it can be really nice, but in a group as well, or just as a date night. So a couple of Italians that I like are like La Familia, sitting in that like garden. It's like, it's really fun in a group as well. And so old school. Yeah. Or Ziani as well, which is just off the King's Road on like a back street. Okay. It's like smaller, very traditional, great food. Like my mum used to go there when she was in her 20s. Amazing. So it's been around. Yeah. So it's like an institution. Yeah. So for Japanese food, I really love Dinings. Oh yes. So they have one in Baker Street as well. Yeah, I haven't been to that one. I haven't been to that one. Kind of South Kensington one. Yeah. And I before I was pregnant, I went there and did the kind of osomaki off menu experience, and it was desperate to do that. So honestly, some of the best Japanese food I've ever had. It's very highly regarded, Dinings. It's incredible. Yeah. Like, it's a really nice. It's like a treat. Yeah. What Japanese do you love? I'll tell you what I quite like. Have you been to Yashin on High Street, Kensington? No. Oh, it's amazing. It's not like any normal Japanese restaurant. It's very simple, really, really fresh, delicious food. And it's just... So they do cooked as well? They do everything. Nice. So it's like nice to go to Dinings, a bit more like something to celebrate. It's a treat, as you said, definitely. And then doing it with the sake pairing.
That is one thing when I'm not pregnant. I can't wait to go and eat all the raw fish.
Yeah, I was
going
to say, what are you looking forward to being able to eat? Like, do you love cheese and things like that?
The things I've missed are, my kind of mountain cheeses, the kind of runny cheeses that you're not allowed to have, and raw fish. Yeah.
Nice. I'm just interested actually in this as a fellow foodie. Do you try and cook any of the dishes that you eat that you've had in restaurants? So, like, for example,
Sometimes.
I'm obsessed with cacio e pepe.
I mean, yes.
Which is just one of my...
We have had some failed attempts of making it.
Yeah, so I keep trying to make it, and it's really not as simple as people think.
And it seems like the most simple thing, but it can kind of separate and go a bit like grainy and like weird.
I'm really irritated with myself because it seems like it should be so simple.
It's about like getting the right amount of the pasta water.
I know, and like emulsifying it in the right way. There was a really lovely recipe recently, actually, in one of the newspapers that Ottolenghi did his take on it. I don't know if you saw it. And it was a simple cacio e pepe base, but then he wrapped loads of za'atar in it. So it was like, had that sort of slight spice as well. I saw it. Was it in a kind of weekend supplement?
Yeah. I'm going to try it. I haven't done it with that combination yet, but I'm a big Ottolenghi fan.
Aren't we all? Obviously, as we mentioned, you're sort of coming towards the end of your pregnancy. What do you want to still instill in your daughter in terms of attitudes towards food?
I think kind of the same as what I learned from my mum, is that it's about balance and moderation. I definitely never grew up thinking, I shouldn't eat that or that's bad. But I mean, I was never also really given junk food. But I mean, obviously when you go to school and parties and stuff, you do occasionally have like, some fast food or something, and that's fine. But like generally everything we had at home was pretty much homemade. And I think that's really important. I want to prepare, give her as much as I can. I can't wait to do weaning, and I think that will be really cute actually when you start to see their reactions to food.
Have you been getting like much advice with like nutritionists, or have you been working with a doula, or in terms of
like my pregnancy nutrition? I mean, I did try to at the beginning, but I felt so sick. I ended up just like not really following what they told me to eat, and then being told kind of like, it's good when you're pregnant to not eat gluten and dairy. Like, I've just found that really hard to stick to. But I think it's very important to make sure you're really well. It is important to make sure you're really well nourished during your pregnancy. Absolutely. And afterwards as well, because afterwards your body's recovering from the birth, and I'm going to try to breastfeed. I hope I can breastfeed. And you've got to really feel your body to produce milk. So
absolutely. No, I think your attitude is really, really admirable, because you just listen to your body, do what you need to do. You're growing balance. A human.
I'm trying to make sure I'm eating a good amount of green vegetables every day and some fruit, but if I have a day where I realise that everything I've eaten is beige, like, so what?
Yeah.
Like, you'll get it in the next day.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on taking placenta pills? Well, because all of my friends are raving about it.
I've heard such mixed things about it.
Oh,
honestly.
really?
And we discussed it in my I've been doing the bump class, and we discussed it. It's like an antenatal group, and the midwife said there's no like scientific. There's nothing proven to say that it actually helps.
Oh.
So it's not.
I wonder if it's a placebo effect.
Yeah, I don't know. But then, because I was like, well, if there are any benefits, like, why not do it? Like,
yeah.
If you can afford to do it, or if you've got someone you trust to do it. They were saying, like, where do you think they were like try to like imagine they don't do it in the hospital.
No, you got to send it to a company.
They were like, imagine like where's your placenta getting taken to? Where's your placenta getting prepped, like chopped up and turned into? They were like they were like picture like all these placentas, but they were like, what if you get given someone else's placenta? And I was like, how do you even know? Can you imagine?
Oh my god, it's just like placenta.
And I had another friend who said their doula or midwife or whatever, whoever someone was looking after them, said they made them a smoothie and put like a piece of the placenta in the smoothie.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it was like a kind of berry smoothie, but it had a kind of...
bits of placenta?
And they said it was delicious, but obviously they couldn't taste the placenta. But that I honestly, I don't think I'm going to do it.
No, I honestly, like I
have looked into it because I was interested in it. Yeah. But I've made my mind up. I don't think there's benefits. And then they were like freaking me out, saying, well, what if you know, you could get blood poisoning or something if it's not prepared correctly. If you think about what you're actually eating.
Yeah.
And then that freaked me out, and I was like, oh.
To be fair though, you have kind of like hit the nail on the head though. You sort of don't really know how it's being prepared or where
That freaks me out.
Is.
I'm sure also after you've seen it as well.
Yeah.
Apparently it's quite terrifying.
Yeah, it's quite terrifying. I've actually seen a photo and it's not particularly appetizing at all.
Ooh.
So as if you haven't got enough on your plate, no pun intended, you've obviously been working on a couple collaborations. One is Body by Simone. You've been working on some prenatal bits and pieces with her.
So see, we were chatting about fitness and how important that is to me. And throughout my pregnancy, I have been doing these workouts, and I partnered with Simone de la Rue, who is an amazing like trained dancer and trainer
incredible.
from LA.
Yeah. And
we partnered up to create these prenatal workout videos, which are available on a DVD and also on Simone's app. So you can watch it either way. And there's like 3 20-minute workouts, full body workouts, different ones that you can follow. You could do 2 of them together, you could do 3 of them together. It kind of depends how long you want to work out for, how you're feeling, or you could just do one, you know, do it 3 times a week and do a different one each time.
Oh, that's so incredible. And
nice
like to have them online, so especially for women who can't really move around
exactly
too much.
I think we just wanted to make it really easy for people to follow, and it's really great for me at the moment, being in the final part of my pregnancy. I'm definitely at home a lot more, don't really feel like the energy to go to a gym, especially at the moment, and it's just better to it's great that you can just do it at home. You could do it anywhere, in the garden.
I think a lot of people are starting to do that now as well, especially when you're traveling. I always find as well, if I'm in hotel rooms, I always make sure I've got something on my phone in case there's no gym, to be able to do something wherever.
Exactly.
However.
So it's just, it's been really important for me to keep moving, and they're all pregnancy safe, which I found it's really hard at the beginning of my pregnancy when I wanted to do things at home. I didn't know what I could do. I didn't know what was safe to do. I didn't know where to look. I didn't know who was good or who had really kind of got that, you know, who was going to be doing it really safely. And Simone's been the perfect person to partner up with. So it's been a really fun project. We filmed it when I was about 6 months pregnant.
Amazing. Well, when I get to that point, I will be I'll be logging on. And you've also got a collaboration with Producer.
Yes, you said it right.
Yeah.
Producer, which is a Miami-based kind of resort wear brand who create beautiful beach dresses and like summer dresses.
I'm obsessed with their cover-ups.
Aren't they the best cover-ups?
Incredible.
They're just made from like gorgeous cottons, lovely colours, and like lovely like gorgeous trims. I've been a fan of the brand for a couple of years, and I've got friends in common with the owner and founder, Clara. We got on like a house on fire, and we collaborated, like brought both our ideas to a table, and have come up with this really gorgeous collection. And luckily, everything is kind of relaxed. There's no zips. So I didn't
Fabulous.
So it's perfect. It's not a maternity line, but I can wear it pregnant. So that is
great.
That's ideal, especially my last few weeks when like not much else is going to fit.
Amazing. It fits everyone.
Float around in these like gorgeous dresses.
Of course, if you're going to do it in style. So I always end my interviews with a few quick fire questions.
Okay.
My absolute favourite snack of all time is a packet of crisps. I am like the crisp connoisseur, as I tell all my guests. What is your favourite flavour of crisps and why?
Okay, I really love the Tours, like truffle crisps. Am I saying it right?
Yes. Okay. Haven't had that answer.
They are delicious.
They're fabulous, and I think they're also made with like real proper olive oil.
Yeah, they are. They're just the texture's good.
Yeah, they're really thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they're put out, they don't last very long at all.
I mean, they just disappear.
I don't share those.
And like a family bag, like big bag, that's for one.
That's an individual bag for me. Amazing, I accept that answer. Who are your 3 most desired dinner party guests? And why?
That's a good question. My 3 favourite dinner party guests. Okay, I think I would have to say Joanna Lumley.
Yes.
But I mean, she's fab either way, but would we have her in character?
No, she's in character.
Okay.
She's coming in as Patsy.
Patsy is coming.
I love that.
She's She's going to be up to no good. She'd have you in fits of laughter. She'd drink the house dry.
Drink the house dry.
She probably wouldn't eat anything.
She'd walk in with 3 cigarettes in her mouth. Oh my God, I love it.
Okay, so Patsy, then I love cooking and I do love doing dinner parties, but I think I definitely want someone to come who was great in the kitchen. So if I'd mess something up, they could step in and like, you know, save the day.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I am a big Jamie Oliver fan.
Love Jamie.
I just love him. Being at my mum, like, also a fan. Like, I've just, you know, always.
I grew up a lot on his cooking, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. And like with his books.
Yeah.
I just love his approach to food, and I feel like he'd just be good fun as well. Like, you'd have a good laugh. And then who else would I have? I'd probably have to have someone for Hugo.
Yeah.
His ultimate person, I think, would be Keith Richards.
Oh my God. Okay, this is like a really serious little group. Can I come to this dinner party,
darling,
please?
Yes, you're invited. Bring your
Oh my
lovely
God,
dad.
imagine Keith Richards and Joanna Lumley in character as Patsy together.
Oh my God,
Good
it would
God.
be quite wild, wouldn't it?
It would be wild.
I think you'd have a sore head the next day.
Yeah, well, maybe 3 days later.
But also, David Attenborough, like, could he just move in?
Yeah.
Can he just come and live
Well,
with
he
me?
could come in and possibly just sort of like, he could commentate.
Yes. Yeah. I just feel like he's welcome anytime he wants to come around for dinner.
Whenever. We kind of covered it at the beginning, but is there any food that you can't stand?
Probably like a really spicy kind of, like, my worst nightmare would be like being forced to eat like a vindaloo or something.
Fine. Okay, you can't do the spice.
I don't.
Like
Yeah, I
subtle,
can't.
you
I
can
can't.
do
I like
subtle.
subtle spice. I love
Yeah.
flavor. I like spices.
Yeah.
I can't stomach really spicy food.
Okay. And what is the craziest food you've ever eaten?
Craziest food I've ever eaten. I mean, is sea urchin quite weird?
Oh, yeah, I've never had one. I
Yeah.
don't know how I feel about it. I'm really nervous about
It's
trying them.
actually delicious.
Really?
Yeah.
What does it taste like?
Kind of like the sea, very fresh.
Okay.
Bit salty, like savoury.
But the consistency is
A bit like a mushroom. So
right, okay.
But I don't think that would go down.
But
well
like
with
so like an oyster?
No, not like I don't like oysters.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. And finally, live to eat or eat to live?
Ooh. Live to eat.
Yeah.
For sure.
I knew you were going to say that.
Good question.
That's why you're allowed back.
Oh, thanks
Millie,
for having
thank
me.
you so much for joining me and for fitting me in what is about to be a bit of a crazy time for you. You can follow Millie on social media at Millie Mackintosh. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening and joining us this week. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast and tell a friend and another and maybe another. Don't forget you can follow all the crazy sexy antics on our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube at Crazy Sexy Food. Until next time, goodbye.